So what's up, Josh?
So what's up, Jay? Nothing much. I am glad that we're here talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League, the long-awaited Snyder cut.
Yes,
What do you think about it?
I think that it was everything that we needed. I think it is. I absolutely think it's the savior of the DCEU.
Mm-hmm.
Like the DCEU is going to crap, and then Zack Snyder comes out with this, and I'm like, yeah, this is everything that we needed. It just plugs so many holes that the um the Josh Wheaton version just left open.
Yeah. And I mean, the problem with Joss Whedon's Justice League is that it just felt like it didn't felt like a cohesive movie. It felt like you can tell there were some shots that did not match other shots, and you could tell that it was just like a mismatch of stuff um, trying to just finish the project, you know. And not only that, you could hear the music and Danny Elfman's music come in, and it was not it was pandering, you know, trying to reach the nostalgia of the people who liked the good DC movies like Superman and Batman, the older stuff, you know, that were better than what we've been getting recently, you know. So I mean, more people like the original stuff than people have been liking Man of Steel and Batman v Superman because, like, Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, like, they were divisive, you know? You got one half who liked it, one half who hated it, and it was not fun when those movies came out. I mean, it was not fun with the discussion, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
You know, and, you know, Wonder Woman was good. Everyone enjoyed Wonder Woman, and then Justice League came out, and it was it was hard. It was like people were hard on this movie. I mean, and you know what? Like Joss Whedon, like I remember people were like loving Joss Whedon because he directed the Avengers, right? And he also brought Firefly and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, nor have I, and I've seen one episode of Firefly, but my dad loved Firefly. And you know, and but everyone was just praising Joss Whedon. It's like, oh my god, this guy is awesome. And then as soon as Justice League turned around, they turned on him hard, like really hard. And the let's be honest, the whole release of Justice League in 2017 just spawned the birth of release the Snyder Cut movement. You know, that's what it was. It was a
yeah.
movement, you know? And like what did you let me ask you before I tell you about my opinions about the release the Snyder Cut movement, what did you think about it as it was progressing from just a hashtag to people buying billboards and putting out signs, like airplane flags, and even cosplayers are actually holding banners that says release the Snyder Cut until it finally got announced and then it finally got it released. What were your opinion on that?
Well, first of all, when it comes to, I want to talk about Josh Whedon real quick before I get into that.
Right.
Uh, I was just thinking that there is a reason why the Josh Whedon version of Justice League was bad, and
Hmm.
that particular reason is not a Josh Whedon movie. Like when
Right.
he came onto this project, it was Zack Snyder's movie with shots already done,
Hmm.
and he had to work off what was already there. So, in
Hmm.
his defense, if Josh Whedon was on this movie to begin with, it would have been a whole different movie. All the shots and scenes would have definitely been different. So, in his defense, like unfortunate tragedy on Zack Snyder's end,
Right.
and Josh Whedon just being thrust into the spotlight with this movie.
Hmm.
There's only so much you can do with in that scenario.
Yeah, I agree. And like the whole, I mean, when the Snyder Cut was released, you know, the day it was released, there was just a whole bunch of Twitter posts that saying like "fuck Joss Whedon," and I'm just thinking, okay, stop. If I mean, if Warner Brothers had given Joss Whedon more time, he probably would have made the movie a lot better, you know. And I agree with you 100%, you know, because I mean, it was Zack Snyder's footage, but Joss Whedon tried to make it work and tried to put his own stuff into it, you know, and like arguably like in Joss Whedon's scenes, like there was more conversations between Batman and Wonder Woman. Superman was a little bit more cheerful and a little bit more jokey, and of course, like it showed like in the scene when Batman and Wonder Woman are talking with each other, and like Batman is like lifting up his uniform. You can see the scars on his back. You can tell that he's been doing this for a long time and that he is a human being, you know? I
Yeah.
mean, as much as we praise Batman for being cool and praise him for being human, that's his flaw. That's one of his flaws. He's a human being. There's so much damage that he can take, you know?
Yeah.
And of course another reason the another scene of Joss Whedon had put in the Justice League that I liked was that Batman called Superman Clark. Like the world needed Superman or loved Superman, but we need Clark. You know, kind of recognizing the humanity of Superman, let him know that he was a person who lived here. He did have a human name. You know, so and I mean, I can understand, and but again, the whole reason is like you said, the whole. I mean, the whole DCEU stuff. Let's be honest, from Man of Steel to Justice League, it was let's be honest, it was a clusterfuck. You know,
Yeah.
Warner Brothers was just trying to play catch up and get the same amount of money from Marvel and compete and have their own Avengers, but they didn't take time with it. Like with Marvel, they took their time. They established Iron Man. They established Incredible Hulk for the third time. They established Captain America, Thor, and then they had the Avengers. You know, and then that movie just spawned the like Marvel Cinematic Universe, in my opinion. Like, I mean, I might be wrong, but of course, but when Iron Man and Thor and Captain America and Thor and everything else was coming out, everything before the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it was just like a it was just like oh, another superhero movie's being released. Okay. Or kind of like with Dark Knight, you know, and Dark Knight Rises, like, okay, another comic book movie is being released. There wasn't three superhero movies being released in a year, but then Avengers came out and boom, that's when the whole thing started. And then Marvel just hit the tracks running, you know, running faster than the Flash, you know. And of course, like Warner Brothers again tried to beat that, but again, it was just it was misguided, you know. And I gotta give Zack Snyder credit is that he tried to make everything different from Marvel, so you can like have a Superman that questioned his time here, a Batman who was tired of being good after 20 years, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, and then of course things happened, and Zack Snyder, say what you will about his work, but no one should ever had to go through what he went through, you know. And it was just it was such a shame, but at least one thing that I can say about the Snyder Cut is to me it feels like it is Zack Snyder's closure. Maybe not his closure with maybe not closure with everything because I mean, um, we're not parents and we have not experienced stuff like that. I mean, I safely assume, but like at least he can show his work, right? People
Yeah.
have been begging for his work for years, and now they can finally see it. You know, um, I mean, that was the whole situation of the whole DCEU stuff and the whole Zack Snyder thing. Like maybe if the higher ups at Warner Brothers were a little bit more structured, who knows? Maybe if I wonder, imagine an alternate universe where Kevin Feige was hired for Warner Brothers and took care of DC instead of Marvel. I mean, I bet it would have been completely different, you know? Instead of three Marvel movies a year, it would have been three DC movies a year. It wouldn't be Avengers Endgame would not have been Avengers Endgame. It probably would have been like Justice League, um,
What is it?
Apocalypse War, or something.
Or like Justice League Crisis, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like Crisis on Infinite Earths. That would have been the end game, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
So, but
That would be insane to see.
yeah,
I think that would be even greater than Endgame in my opinion.
yeah, and of course, because not only would you be having like, not only would you be having, you know, the Justice League, the New Gods, Justice Society, the Teen Titans, but you would have like, and maybe even the Doom Patrol, for just because you would have had also alternate versions of the same character. You would have a 1940s Superman, a maybe Hippolyta joining in. It'd be kind of like the battle at the in the Snyder cut where it showed everyone coming together to fight Darkseid for the first time, and this was like
Yeah,
flashback. It probably end up like that, but instead of armies, it would have been like instead of armies of soldiers that look the same, it would have been actually be like multiple Green Lanterns, multiple Supermen, multiple Wonder Woman, whatever, and you know what? Let's go back to that same alternate universe, right? Where we have that Crisis on Infinite Earths on the big screen, and the Avengers have their end game on the CW. Imagine that. That's probably would have. That's if it were living in an alternate universe. That's probably where Marvel would have been if it wasn't for if the tables were turned. There would have been an Iron Man CW show. There would have been a Captain America CW show.
that'd been interesting.
I mean, that probably would be interesting. So, but we can't change the past. We can't um we can't imagine what ifs, but what we can do is like notice this is the history. This is what has happened with Warner Brothers and DC movies. They tried to catch up and they did make it, and they were impatient. They did not play the long game. They tried to create their cake early and then sell it, and what we got was just an unfinished, crappy, different flavors cake made by multiple bakers. None of them worked, and we just end up clamoring for a better cake of one of the bakers, and we finally got it,
You know what
And
I think?
what do you think?
I was just thinking this. So like, this is right now Marvel's at kind of a little standstill.
Yeah, yeah.
And most of the major characters, like either like retired from the role or has been killed off,
Mm-hmm.
and they got to start, they're starting from square one with new heroes,
Right.
and even with these new heroes, I don't think the MCU will be where it just left from. The height that it just left from. And I think
Yeah,
if DC had played the long game, this is where they would come in.
yeah, yeah. I would. That would be a good idea because like Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame released in 2018 and 2019. So like, imagine if Warner Brothers had did Man of Steel 1, Man of Steel 2, had Ben Affleck do his Batman, have Ezra Miller do his Flash, have Ray Fisher do his Cyborg, and have Jason Momoa do their Aquaman. They would have had the Justice League maybe right around the time that Avengers Endgame premiered, or maybe a month after it. Oh, that probably would have been it. That would have been the stepping off point for DC's like because Endgame was like it was the stepping off point where you could it it was basically saying, okay, we're gonna make more of this stuff, but you can get off this wagon if you want. We're gonna take this to a different direction, but you could just leave. You can go away if you want to, or stick with us. It doesn't matter. And like Endgame provided a sense of closure, and you could decide whatever you wanted to do, right? And then
Right.
if that's the case, then people who liked Avengers Endgame could just watch Justice League and then stick to the DCEU.
Yeah.
Although, let's be honest, um, Marvel kind of got messed up from COVID, the whole COVID pandemic, and they were going to keep on going, especially start out with Black Panther. I mean, not Black Panther, Black Widow, and have like a few movies same year. But because of COVID happened, now it that's also if where Marvel might have lost its steam, because let's be honest, COVID stopped the train. Like COVID covered the tracks in tar and causing the train to slow down. It's causing more and more slowly, only giving you like a few shows like WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier and um, other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, although it seems to me like they're doing something different with the TV shows like WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but nonetheless, the steam is they're they don't have as much steam, and it's kind of harder to get people's attention than before, because of course you had Captain America, you had Iron Man, you have Thor, but now you have to move on with Doctor Strange, Spider Man, arguably Spider Man, and then of course, you know, the Scarlet Witch, Vision, Falcon, and the Winter Soldier. Now, of course, it appears the shows are doing well, but they're doing so with new, well, not new, but old and established characters. Whereas everything afterwards is like kind of like have to. It's kind of like throwing darts and see if they'll stick.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I mean, that's just the reality. And we finally got what we wanted. So, and actually, I see where you're coming from with the Snyder Cut being the movie that we needed right now, because like we haven't gotten a lot of superhero movies, and amid the COVID pandemic, and the Snyder Cut kind of scratches an itch for people, especially for DC guys. Like it's been a while since they've seen something like, it's been a while since they've seen a DC movie. Like Shazam was like in 2019, so that was like 2 years.
I mean, they're working on Black Adam, so
Yeah, they are. They had I hope that I will actually be watching Black Adam just for the sake of seeing the Justice Society, especially
oh
since
yeah.
they got Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. Yes, please. I want to see him as Dr. Fate. I want to see him in the suit. Absolutely.
The fact that a minor character like Doctor, well, he's not really minor, but he's not like more of the more known DC characters that are
Right.
household names.
Mhm.
Like you really have to be like a basic comic book reader to know who Doctor Fate is.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, like in Constantine, there was like a Doctor Fate tease with the helmet of fate in the first
Yeah.
season. But of course, the first episode of that season got canceled, unfortunately. But at least the actor still got work as John Constantine. So
Yeah.
so, but what did you think about the Snyder Cut overall?
Overall, I think the 4 hours was definitely worth it to tell the complete story. It definitely needed 4 hours for everything to melt together and slowly come together and make sense.
Yeah.
Um, I like the fact that Zack Snyder was like, okay, I'm going to shoot new scenes to add to this too. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. And of course and I believe the scenes he shot were the nightmare stuff. Like I heard that nightmare scene at the end of the movie was like shot in his backyard. That's what I've heard. I could be wrong, but like they just got Ben Affleck back in a Batman suit and then have him be in a backyard on a bright day or some, or maybe even dark. That Imagine being Zack Snyder's a neighbor and you're just walking around enjoying the nice sunlight or enjoying the starry nights, and then you see Ben Affleck in his Batman suit, um, reciting lines to like with Amber Heard as Mara, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, this is a this is a Monday night I'll never forget, you know. And also, as for me, I enjoyed the Snyder Cut. There was some stuff that I was like it was starting slow in the beginning, and it was like Zack Snyder kind of taking things a little too serious, especially with the slow mo. Like there was a lot of slow mo, especially, and some of the slow mo is unintentionally funny. Like the guy was eating the hamburger, and they actually do a close up on the seed. Like, are you? Does that really needed to be there? You know? I mean, I was just like, I heard about the scene, and it's like, oh, we gotta tell people when let's. Oh wait, I think the slow mo's coming. Brace yourself. Oh, there's the seed. There's the seed, and it's just like, do you really needed that? But that was a fun time to actually sort of almost chuckle at for that, just for that one close up. But some of the slow mo did work, like the Flash slow mo. I mean, that was necessary, and that was actually really cool. And like Barry Allen's introduction scene in the Snyder Cut was like completely different.
Oh, I
Um,
remember.
I just like Barry Allen's introduction in this version a lot better than in the Joss Whedon version, because wasn't so. Was Barry introduced in the Whedon cut as like speaking to his dad, or was he introduced first by meeting Bruce Wayne?
I think it was his dad.
Yeah, but I kind of like, yeah, I actually kind of like the him the introduction in the dog place first. You know, I might be wrong. He might have met his dad first, then he went to the bar plate to the dog place. But I mean, no, I mean, I enjoyed it, and it he seemed a lot less quippy than he was in the Whedon cut. You know, and of course with Cyborg, like there was no booyah. Instead, it was like a turmoil. You know, like him trying like I can understand why Ray Fisher was like really clamoring for the Snyder Cut because he had done a lot more than just like the booyah and new costume, you know. So I
Yeah.
actually enjoyed the longer character moments in the Snyder Cut, like especially like there was a heart to heart between Aquaman and Wonder Woman, considering their heritage. Like there was a
Exactly. I mean, he didn't really care about it to begin with, so
right. Of course, and but it's like they got a little closer just by talking about stuff that they
yeah.
had learned from their ancestors or from their parents and all. And like and of course Aquaman is like he's being a little bit more considerate towards Cyborg, like he is a lot more uh, empathetic towards Cyborg, especially after he just lost his dad, you know?
Yeah.
That was very nice. And of course it was just like this would have been a good way to sort of introduce the characters, you know, if they decide to stick to that path, because it kind of gives, like, it would have gotten people to like Cyborg and Flash a little bit more and be ready for their solo movies, you know? But, I mean, let's be honest, um, they would not release the Snyder Cut in its 4 hour, you know, glory or state
I feel like
in
they
the
would have.
theaters.
No, not yet, not in theaters. But I feel like if they had intentions on releasing the Snyder Cut from the get go, it would have been like this, exactly like this.
Yeah. And I bet, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that Zack Snyder never had to leave, right? They probably would have either cut his Snyder cut into 2 hours, or they would have had it be like the Zack Snyder Justice League Part 1 and then release Part 2, because that was another plan too. Like they might have just divide the Justice League movie into two parts, you know.
That was the plan. It was supposed to be a Justice League Part Two, and I think that's why it's supposed to be a Part Two.
Yeah. So, and I actually, everything after the league's first defeat, you know, at the under the ocean, you know, things started picking up a little bit. Like, all right, we're getting a lot more action, we're getting a lot more story, you know, and trying to resurrect Superman makes more sense. And of course, it's it became a little bit like watching a Justice League movie, especially when they are when they're in the Russian city and they're just you see Batman being Batman, you see Cyborg being Cyborg, Flash being Flash, and Aquaman being Aquaman. The action was a lot better, you know.
And I like that Barry's role was increased in this movie too.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, I liked how they showed the Speed Force. That was actually very interesting, you know. I actually enjoyed that scene a lot.
Oh yeah, that was very interesting. But when Barry saved that girl, was that Iris?
Yeah, that was meant to be Iris West.
Okay, I had a feeling about that. Then oh yeah, let's talk about the new characters that we saw. Like, and was that scene already shot? Like the big war, the first war with Darkseid, was that already shot? Was that
Yeah,
something he didn't do?
that was already shot, and of course, it was parts of it was in the original in the theatrical version, so that was not new.
Okay. What about the part with the lantern and when like the freaking when Dark when Darkseid kills the Green Lantern and his ring just flies off?
Yeah, I think that was a little bit new, I guess, because like in the theatrical version, the Green Lantern he did die, and his ring like fall out of his finger and started flying over the place. But instead of around Darkseid, it was around Steppenwolf. You know, and
Yeah, Darkseid wasn't even in the original, wasn't he?
no, he was not. All it was just Steppenwolf, and Steppenwolf in the theatrical version was like mother. He talked to the mother box. It's very weird, like mother, I will get you, or mother, good. Well, it was just very weird. Whereas with with the Snyder cut, it's like he's trying to regain his. He's trying to come home. He has a little bit of a sympathetic backstory and a simple like a sympathetic motivation, you know. And it was a lot more. I can understand what he was doing as his motivation rather than have him just be a bad guy and trying to get the mother boxes because mother. That was so weird.
What about Martian Manhunter? I didn't expect to see him.
Well, I sort of did because I mean while the Snyder Cut movement was just clamoring for the Snyder Cut to be released, Zack Snyder just baited them, like kept baiting them like concept art and told them exactly what had been in the Snyder Cut. Like, oh, turns out, hey, remember that general that was in Man of Steel? Turns out he was Martian Manhunter the whole time. And here are the storyboards that revealed that he was Martian Manhunter. People are like, oh my God, we need to see the Snyder Cut now. We need to see the Martian Manhunter now.
Did you see the character designs for John Stewart Green Lantern?
Um,
He was supposed to be in the Snyder Cut too.
right. And I yeah, I didn't see this design for the John Stewart Green Lantern, not yet. Although I do remember like in I was watching a video where one DC fan was like, "I'm done with DC. I'm done with the DC EU," and he actually showed a clip of Kevin Smith's review of the theatrical version, and he was angry too because there was so much stuff that was out of the movie. And he even had a person in the audience who watched the Snyder Cut, and he was like, he asked her questions like, "Yeah, what happened with at the end of the movie with Bruce Wayne?" And she said some about, oh, he was waking up by two green guys, I believe. And he's like, Green Lanterns? It was like, yeah. What did they look like? One looked like a pig and another looked like a fish. Like, oh my God, they got Kilowog and Tomo Ray? It's like, yeah. I was like, oh my God, you know? So I think the Martian Manhunter or the John Stewart Green Lantern was like an add-in. It's like, oh, this these were the people that are meant to be there, or according to Zack Snyder, but actually what was really supposed to be there was Kilowog and Tomo Ray. Like they were supposed to be at the beach house or whatever and talk to Bruce Wayne, and instead of Martian Manhunter or John Stewart. So I might be wrong, but nonetheless, I believe that was the original intent.
I think so too.
Speaking of Tomore and Kilowog, when they were trying to resurrect Superman, and you see the evil flashbacks of Superman being evil, I thought when you saw Kilowog laying there, I kind of confused him for Tomore. Like I thought that was Tomore, and then people like pointed, oh, that's Kilowog. Like, oh, okay, Kilowog was dead and killed by Superman. All right.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw that. Really saw that. That got me. I was like, there's so many characters they're introducing into this. With every new character, my mind just got blown. I was like, this is some Easter eggs or to come.
Yeah, I mean, of course, this was supposed to be like the Avengers, where it's supposed to showcase, and it's sort of like following the footsteps of Marvel, where they have a whole bunch of Easter eggs and just to get people hyped for what's coming next, you know.
Exactly.
But of course, I mean, you're gonna see stuff that what you probably would have seen if everything went to plan and like in 2017, of course. But and and of course, there were some moments where I was like, I can't. Where in Superman when he was in the ship after he got resurrected, and his suit start popping out. I thought I saw a Supergirl suit, I thought I saw the Superman suit, but built for a woman. And then I
Oh yeah,
started
you
looking in.
did.
I thought I did, but um, then I looked at it a little bit more. It's like, oh, it's just normal Superman suit, but with it just looked it was just more muscular, I guess, you know.
No, I think it's a go one in there because I was reading earlier today, and they already casted someone to play Supergirl
Mhm.
in the DCEU
Yeah.
in a standalone movie.
Mhm. I mean, Supergirl has gotten DC had gotten a show on this ABC and then moved to CW, so it makes sense for her to have her own movie, you know.
Yeah, and she's actually a big part of DC universe, being that she's supposed to be stronger than Superman,
Mhm.
and she was the big factor in Injustice Part Two.
Yeah, she was. She was. So it's nice to have Supergirl get some recognition. Unfortunately, we can't. We're not going to see the same for Power Girl, but what are you going to do?
Most people don't even know who Power Girl is.
Oh yeah, but I mean, they just look at her costume and they were just like, "Oh no, 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 no,
Yeah,
no."
like they can't adjust it.
Well, they could adjust it,
They make
but
it
it's
like
all about a
a one
matter
piece
of
like Superman suit.
yeah. But that's probably. I mean, let's be honest. Power Girl would be a much harder character to sort of adapt. I mean, not we can adapt her person. We can use keep her personality, but like the costume is going to be the hardest factor. But
The lack of stories, the lack of
yeah,
familiarity with stories.
yeah, that's also a case.
What
Uh,
about the Deathstroke at the end?
yeah, like I actually liked how instead of Lex Luthor saying, "Shouldn't we make a league of our own?" I liked how instead it's like, "Oh, Batman is Bruce Wayne." It was like, "Oh, okay." It actually makes more sense, and it kind of would build up to the Batman versus Deathstroke stuff, which I actually thought like when Deathstroke was revealed, I thought he was going to end up fighting the Justice League as like a side boss or something,
Yeah.
but that's not going to happen, obviously.
So, do you think with the Snyder cut releases, it's gonna I got three things to say. The first is, do you think that it's gonna spawn more work for Zack Snyder in the future? And do you also think um that Zack Snyder's Justice League would cause the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson to just be like an Elseworld standalone? It could just continue Ben Affleck. You think Ben Affleck will want to continue being Batman after
Well,
this?
I think um you could have I mean you could have I Robert Pattinson be an Elseworlds story anyway. I mean, you could there are different versions of the same character, especially in movies and TV, and you could just do what CW did and have multiple versions coexisting and meet up with each other. But
Okay.
let's be honest. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I was entirely sick of hearing release the Snyder cut because like I enjoyed the Joss Whedon version just fine, and I enjoyed the Snyder cut more a little bit more, but I enjoyed it as a superhero movie, you know.
Yeah.
And the people who did not like Zack Snyder's stuff with the DC characters, they're not going to like Snyder. Excuse me, I'm sorry. They're not going to like the Snyder cut, and you know what? I mean, I'm tired of restore the Snyderverse stuff because like it's done. I mean, look, if you love something, you have to let it go, okay? And I'm probably part of the minority. I don't think they're going to restore the Snyderverse, and I don't think they should because this is a case where if you give a dog a chip, they're going to want the whole bag, you know? And
Yeah.
and of course, people. I understand why they want to see more from the Snyder cut, but let's be honest. I want to see Dread too. I want to see. I wouldn't mind seeing a Power Rangers 2 from the 2017 version. But let's be honest. They're not gonna do it. They're not gonna. They're not gonna. Carl Urban's not gonna come back as Judge Dredd. The Power Rangers is getting another reboot. And you know, as much as I would like to see Man of Steel 2, that's not happening. And you know what? Henry Cavill, Ray Fisher, Ezra Miller, Ben Affleck, and Zack Snyder to an extent got screwed over.
But they're still planning the Flash movie though,
Well, they're still planning the Flash movie, but let's be honest. I
and
mean,
Cyborg.
and Cyborg, but I mean, it's been since 2017. Like Jason Momoa has gotten one Aquaman movie after the release of the Justice League, and of course they're gonna make Aquaman 2. But you know what? Everyone hates Amber Heard, so now they're gonna figure out whether to keep Amber Heard in or or recast Mara. And then with the Flash, it has
Think
like,
you could just kill her off.
or they could just kill her off. And but everyone liked Mara in Aquaman 1, so like I mean, my sister, she liked Mara in Aquaman, and and then of course the Flash has gone through multiple directors, and then I have no idea where the Cyborg stuff is going because I think a couple directors left that project, and it's just like it's been so long since 2017, and I guess I mean they could still get hype for the Flash movie and the Cyborg movie, especially since the Snyder Cut came out like a couple of weeks ago. But on the other hand, it's like I think Ray Fisher said something about he would only return to be
That's
Cyborg if if the director was either Zack Snyder or somebody else, you know.
yeah. I was about to ask you about that too.
And you know what? They got screwed over. And if I were them, remember when in Batman v Superman where everyone is hating Superman and he's trying to talk to his mother for advice and his mother said, "You don't do whatever you want, be a savior, be a hero, be whoever you want to be, or be none of it. You don't owe this world a thing, and you never did." And I just want to tell, I mean, the way I see it, those actors don't owe Warner Brothers anything. Henry Cavill doesn't owe Warner Brothers anything. They don't. I mean, Ben Affleck doesn't owe Warner Brothers anything. Zack Snyder, Ben Affleck, Ray Fisher. Ray Fisher was on Broadway before he was hired to be Cyborg. He can go back to Broadway and be an excellent and shows excellent acting skills like he did in the Snyder Cut. He was great as Cyborg in the Snyder Cut. And there are so many other things that they could do. And you know what? Netflix is being so much nicer to Henry Cavill. It didn't take him 4 or 7 years to make a second season for The Witcher. You know? I mean,
Yeah,
what do you think about Restore the Snyderverse?
I think they should. I think that the Snyder Cut proves that Zack Snyder's vision was candid in that it's a whole lot more he can do with the DCEU. And I think he has a vision that I think he had a vision that could was possibly on track to being on par with Marvel. But now that Marvel's like on this the slow track, I feel like now's a better time than never to like see what else Snyder can do if he
Yeah.
wants to do it. And he said he's open. He said if Warner Brother gives him the chance to do more stuff, he's more than open to doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I remember him reading that he was done and that he would like to move on. But I think though this is probably I'm probably turning into a media conspiracy theorist. I think Zack Snyder and Warner Brothers or anybody has been baiting the fans on just to make them scream restore the Snyderverse a little bit louder, you know? And it's your opinion. If you want to see more of the Snyderverse, if you want to see more of Ben Affleck's Batman, all the power to you. But I'm just ready. You know, I'm just ready for the whole thing to just move on. You know, and it was you could say that the whole DC EU clusterfuck was an experiment. You know, on how to make darker stories or how to have a light superheroes be have darker versions. You know, because as much as maybe Man of Steel, it's been a long time since I've seen Man of Steel, and I don't know, Man of Steel may not age so well, but I'm grateful for the changes that it tried to make. I'm grateful for the fact that they tried to have Superman be in a position where the outcome is not so pleasing, you know? Like he killed Zod and there was a moment of regret and terror and shock as as the character realized what he had just done, you know. Maybe it could have been better, but the idea of it alone is great, you know.
Yeah,
And um and of course the whole if only there was a plan, if only there have been plenty of factors, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. If Ben Affleck comes back as Batman alongside Robert Pattinson's Batman, and everyone, and these Warner Bros. Is kind of like making this be like a multiverse thing anyway, you know. So I guess you could. I mean, if they make a Zack Snyder's Justice League Part Two, I'm gonna watch it. If they make a Man of Steel 2, I'm going to watch it. If they make a Ben Affleck Batman, I am going to watch it. Because, I mean, well, why not? You know, or and you know what? If
What about
you
the
don't,
Nightwing movie?
well, a Nightwing movie, yeah, sure. But if
It's in the plans.
it's in the plans, but it's been in the plans for a long time now, and to me, it's just like it.
I
If you
feel like
don't,
you can't. Oh,
sorry,
you can go.
continue.
I feel like you can't introduce Nightwing without introducing the Robin first.
Right, right. But I mean, they introduced the Justice League without making a standalone movie for Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg before the release, but and also they introduced Batman in sort of like a sequel to Man of Steel, and they
I feel
called it
like I feel like they could though because it's been so many Batman movies throughout the years that everybody knows the origin story, so there was no need for another origin story.
right, right, and uh, of course, but again, if the Snyderverse is restored, it might not be restored until like after a few years anyway. So maybe history will repeat itself. I mean, like history actually repeated itself with the Snyder Cut with Justice League because, like, in the 1970s, Richard Donner was working on Superman 1 and Superman 2 back to back, but Richard Donner got fired off of Superman 2, and they hired a different director. Maybe Richard Lester. I'm not entirely sure, but Richard Donner and Richard Lester, they were two completely different directors and they had completely different styles. So if you looked at the theatrical version of Superman 2, you can tell that I mean, history literally repeated itself, you know? And but maybe Snyderverse could be restored or not. If here's what I would do. If if I refuse, or if I'm the head of Warner Brothers and I do not have the money, or there's no way that we can restore the Snyderverse in a business decision, maybe give the Snyder fans or the DCEU fans still a way to find conclusion by going out to other mediums. So maybe instead of a Justice League Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 2 movie, maybe have it be a Part 2 comic book or a Part 2 video game or maybe a Part 2 cartoon, you know?
Yep.
I mean, I guess that's one way for, at the very least, maybe include, give them the script. Give them the script, whatever. I mean, because that's what, I mean, that's a some way of a conclusion. That's some way to give people closure. You know, I mean, would you be okay if Zack Snyder, instead of having to create Zack's Justice League Part Two, just instead create a Justice League comic book?
Hmm. I would like to see a Justice League Part Two, or he can just do. I don't know what experience Zack Snyder has to do with series. I would like it could be a series or something like that. I don't know, but there's just been a pattern like with stuff when things just fail, they automatically go to the comic books, And the comic books are dope. Like you can get some great stories from the comic books, but it's nothing like just seeing it like right in front of you, live action, real people.
Yeah, I get it. I've read some stories, I've read some books, and I thought to myself, man, wouldn't this be cool if it was live action? Or I've seen an anime like Akira, and I was thinking to myself, man, wouldn't this be cool in live action? Wouldn't it be cool if the characters actually gone to life or something? And I understand that appeal, but I mean, that's not how the art industry works, you know? And I guess, I mean, if you're not gonna restore the Snyderverse, at least give some way to make like a closure, or but I don't know. I mean, I'm not a businessman. I'm not a an exec of Warner Brothers. It's just I'll just gonna have to wait and see what happens. I'm just tired of hearing restore the Snyderverse. I'm tired about seeing posts about it. I just want people to just like let it go, or whenever there's anything that is an issue, let it go. I mean, of course, I mean, I'm just rambling on now. That's what I want. Just like move on and let it go. I mean, what do you think, Jay?
Um, I don't know. I feel like if they're planning to do I just feel like it's a waste, man. Like, you have all these talented actors playing these talented characters, and like that's not this cut of the Justice League makes you like these actors as these characters even more. And I feel like if they planning on doing like a reboot of the Justice League or different versions of Justice League, and still planning on doing some type of DC movie universe or cinematic universe, I feel like it should be with these already established characters because for one, like these guys are talented and
Mm-hmm.
they can make it work. Time and money has been spent on these projects, and I feel it'll be a shame to see the so much potential go to waste. And with the addition of introduction of these other characters, people are gonna want more. Like
Yeah.
now we know that like I was watching an interview with Zack Snyder and talk about all the characters and how like like the Easter eggs and how people may think like it was like when you're watching a Batman movie, like you don't think maybe Superman's out there somewhere, but if you're watching a Superman movie, you're like maybe Batman's out in Gotham in this world, like beating up a dude in the alley. That's what he was saying. And
Mm-hmm.
then like when you see the Green Lantern, you're like, oh my gosh, the Green Lantern Corps exists. And then like it's kind of like the CW, like what they did with the Arrowverse. Like you got so many Easter eggs to like all the possibilities and what may or may not exist in this world. And I feel like they've shown us so much that it's like you can't it's like you have to like at least think about indulgence on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I see where you're coming from. But I guess in this situation, it'd be nice if there is some way to continue the story, or be nice to have the actors be in a do better for the actors and the creators and the the script writers. It would be nice to do people to do the workers who have worked on this justice,
Yeah,
whether however you want to do it, whether it be to make them continue their stories and the characters, or maybe better yet, give the actors or screenwriters or directors some projects that might put them their career in a better position, you know. And I
yeah,
guess we just have to wait until time and see what happens. I mean, I am not going to hashtag restore the Snyderverse. I'm not going to keep myself updated on restore the Snyderverse. But what I will do is, whatever the result is, whatever it's going to be, a comic book, a TV show, a video game, maybe that has the original actors, or some way, or maybe a continuation of the movies, I will check it out. Or or let's just say nothing happens, at least we can rely on the CW to have the actors return and put them in a cameo or two in a crossover event. Because if we do not see a Man of Steel 2 in 30 years, I bet next time the CW reboots their DC, their Arrowverse, then they're definitely going to have a Crisis on Infinite Earths remake, and they're going to have Henry Cavill come back as Kingdom Come Superman. They're gonna have Gal Gadot be the president on Supergirl's Earth. They're gonna do whatever. You know, if we don't get anything from Warner Brothers, we're definitely gonna get some on the CW. No doubt about it.
so do you have any more to say about the movie?
No, it's just I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad that Zack Snyder was able to get his vision restored, and I it would have been a what if scenario. I mean, we can only imagine what would happen if Zack Snyder was able to release the Snyder Cut in theaters, you know.
Yeah.
And and also it's just like a reminder of what we have to look at and just accept everything as it is. Like we got ourselves a Justice League, and it is an enjoyable superhero movie.
Oh man, it looks like we have one more actor that's on the Restore the Snyderverse campaign.
Who?
The one that played Deathstroke.
Oh, well, I can guess because like I mean, Emma, they had to fit him in that whole costume, and he's only in that costume for like a cameo, and that's it, you know. And he's a fit guy. Uh, so he can pull up stunts if he wants to, or at least try to. He can. You would find it believable that he can beat you in a fight, especially if you don't go to the gym very often. So,
Exactly.
and I bet if Joe Manganiello starts, then it's probably going to be Jason Momoa, Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck. We're just going to have to wait and see.
Wait and see. It's so sad to see the Snyderverse go to waste, but if it must, it must.
Yeah, and although it, if if it does go to waste, at least we have the movies themselves, you know.
Exactly.
And I'm not gonna lie, I gotta thank Zack Snyder because I read some comic books the before Man of Steel, but I because of Man of Steel, I wanted to explore more about Superman. I wanted to explore more about the DC universe. If it wasn't for Man of Steel, I would not have known about the Justice Society. I would have not known about Doctor Fate. I would have not known about the Spectre. I would have not. I will, and it made me breach into the DC mythology. And many people have been. I remember like people have been complaining about the Zack Snyder Man of Steel and Batman v Superman movies. Even so recently, it's like they don't represent the characters very well. And my argument is this: if they don't, if they catch a child's interest in the character, if they make that child want to know more the about Superman or Batman and may get them into reading comic books or buy um, the Batman or Superman video games. Does it really matter? Is it? I mean, as long as it's doing its job, because like, let's be honest, the Batman movies, the Superman movies, this is just to bring people in. That's what their whole point is. That's just to get more people in, to get more money, get more, and get a new fan base. You know, that's how you get a franchise to live on. You know, that's the cycle. And let's be honest, the very first Batman movie I saw, it was Batman and Robin. Though arguably people who are have deemed it the worst superhero movie of all time. And if it hadn't been for Batman and Robin, I probably would not have watched Batman Begins. I probably would not have played the Batman Arkham games. And, and I gotta thank it for that, you know. And it doesn't. I mean, whatever whatever a child's first introduction to a superhero, it might be that superhero's crappiest movie, but nonetheless, it did its job by getting a child to be interested about superheroes and not just about superheroes, that one superhero. And I guess it, and because of that, they can now go into a brand new world of mythology and history and characters and just dive into it a little bit more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like maybe the best comparison is like you have a pool. No, well, you have a pool. There's a little bit of dirt on the surface, but as soon as you get in, you get this whole blue, like wonderful blue scenery. You get sun rays shining through or whatever, and they could see whole so much more, you know. But that's probably like a bad example. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Let me ask you a question, Jay. What was the first Batman movie you have ever saw?
Mm. I think it was Batman. It was the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze.
Batman and Robin.
Was that it?
Yeah.
It was either that one or the other one that was him forever. It was either that one or Batman Forever.
You mean Batman Forever?
Yeah, I said Batman Forever.
Oh, okay.
It was either that one or Batman Forever.
Yeah.
And then Batman Begins came out.
Mm-hmm. And then The Dark Knight.
But the movies that really made me love Batman was actually the animated ones.
Yeah.
Like what's that show? What's the one called? Uh,
Mask of the Phantasm.
no, the newer ones. Because I've always known who Batman was. 'Cause I like Batman, but like watching the DC animated original movies from like what 20 it started in 2015, 2016. Like with Batman and Robin, or Batman versus Robin, Son of Batman, stuff. Yeah, those movies really made me love Batman. And then like the animated series made me love Batman too.
Yeah. Yeah.
As you get the things that the every Batman movie that has been made so far lacks is what the new one's making up for is why he's arguably one of the greatest characters in the DC universe is his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like
World's greatest detective.
exactly. Like every Batman movie so far has just shown like the one brooding Batman. Ugh, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Two, oh look at all the gadgets I have.
Mm-hmm.
And three, ninja shadow skills Batman.
Yeah.
And it doesn't delve into what makes him Batman. People
Mm-hmm.
often think like Batman's only human. He's like, what Batman going to do? Like Batman has one of the greatest minds in the DC universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's why every time somebody says like Batman can't beat this person, someone always argues with prep time.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Batman's always like 5 steps ahead of everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I liked Batman. I mean, not just the dark brooding skills, but also how smart he was. You know, because he was preparing for a fight. I mean, that's why many people would be happy to see Batman win Superman against a fight because this is a normal human being fighting basically a god, but not with brawn, but with mind. You know, with strategy. You know,
Exactly.
and but yeah, of course, and at least there are so many of these things that children, especially people who maybe have not read comic books but actually will. I mean, now they have a whole brand of they have a whole library of what to look into, you know, and it's great. It's great, and I guess who I've always thought about if anyone ever becomes a new fan for some that we the old fans, it is our responsibility to make sure that we can put them in through the right path or maybe recommend them stuff that we believe that they will like, you know, because
Exactly.
Lydia, my little sister, she became a fan of the Teen Titans after watching Teen Titans Go. And I told her about the original cartoon. And now she looks back at the Teen Titans Go. It's like, oh man, this sucks. I want to see I like the original cartoon is awesome. You know, like, um, we actually got HBO Max recently, and I walked in on Lydia watching Teen Titans Go to Japan, and
Oh yeah, classic.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. You know, and it made me feel nice, and I'm glad that she can watch a little bit more about the Teen Titans, especially watch a classic Teen Titans Go to Japan. You know.
You gotta introduce her to Static Shock
Oh right, yeah, yeah. I'll make sure that she can look up Static Shock. She might like. I don't know if she liked that, but she probably might will.
and Young Justice. You probably
Young
would.
Justice, right? Yeah, yeah, Young Justice.